Have you ever found yourself standing in the middle of life's chaos, looking up at the sky and quietly asking, "Why was I chosen to walk this rocky, treacherous path? Why must I face headwinds while others seem to stroll gently beneath the warm sun?" If your heart has ever trembled with questions like these, then listen closely, because perhaps the universe is whispering a profound secret to you. I'm not here as a cold clinical psychologist. I'm here as a fellow traveler on the spiritual journey, a soul deeply captivated by the philosophy of life and the sacred. The trials you face are not random, nor are they punishments. They are the refining fires, harsh lessons meant only for the chosen ones who have the strength to bear them. Those who are called by God, the universe, or whatever name you choose to give the divine, are never given a path lined with roses. They are destined to walk through darkness, to confront pain, and in doing so, discover the brilliant light of strength and wholeness within themselves. In this video, we'll unveil the miraculous signs of the chosen souls. Not just the signs you can see with your eyes, but the silent transformations that take place deep within the soul. The sacred imprints etched by the hand of creation to guide them through lifetimes of hardship. This is a journey not only to understand, but to feel. To ask yourself, could that light be quietly burning within me? Stay with me until the end, because I believe you'll find a precious missing piece of your own life's story. Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments. Tap the like button if your heart resonates with this message, and subscribe to join me on this ongoing path of exploring spiritual and philosophical mysteries. Are you ready to answer the call of destiny? Let's begin. 1. The transformed heart, a real mark of inner change. Have you ever noticed that your heart no longer reacts the way it used to? That you no longer get angry over small things? Or you're no longer drowning in the sadness you once thought would last forever? That could be the very first, very real sign that something special is taking root inside you. For those chosen by God, their hearts are no longer just their own, they've been transformed. Not in some vague or mystical way, but in a clear, tangible shift. Like someone who once trembled at life's challenges, now standing firm, facing adversity without fear. In truth, this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come with dramatic movie moments. It comes through those quiet, painful days. Losing a job, grieving a loved one, or feeling completely alone in a crowd. For most people, these moments can break them or leave them bitter. But for the chosen, these trials become like a forge. Each blow from life hardens them. Each scar becomes a lesson. Their hearts don't become fragile, they become resilient, capable of enduring, of beating strong even when everything around them falls apart. You can see it in the way they live. They don't preach or pretend to be enlightened, but you'll notice their patience when standing in a long line, or how they help strangers without expecting praise. It's not magic, it's the result of a heart that's been reshaped to see the world differently. They're no longer caught up in meaningless drama or poisoned by cruel words. Instead, they focus on what truly matters: family, friends, or simply making today better than yesterday. That doesn't mean they're emotionless or invincible. They still cry, still get angry, still feel fear, but they don't let those emotions define them. I once met someone like this, a single mother working 12-hour shifts, still managing to smile at her child though she was exhausted to the bone. She told me, "I don't have a choice but to be strong." That is the heart of the chosen, not perfect, but one that has learned how to rise after every fall. If you see yourself in these words, if you've walked through pain without letting it destroy you, if you've chosen forgiveness over resentment, then maybe your heart has been transformed too. Take a moment to reflect on that, and stay with me in this video as we uncover more signs. Have you ever experienced a moment that made you realize you were stronger than you thought? Share it with me in the comments. Tap like if this resonates with you, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Let's keep going together. 2. Unshakable faith in truth, the inner compass in life's storms. If the heart of the chosen is the first sign of transformation, then their unwavering belief in truth is the fire that keeps them from losing their way. This isn't some vague belief or a string of pretty words you hear in sermons. It's real, concrete, and sometimes as harsh as life itself. The chosen ones don't just seek the truth. They live for it, protect it, even when it means standing alone in a crowd, giving up what others chase blindly, money, power, or the so-called comfort that society glorifies. They don't do it to seem noble or different. They do it because they simply cannot live any other way. Think of someone you know who always speaks the truth, even if it costs them friendships or promotions. I once knew a man like that. He worked in advertising, a field where half-truths are business as usual. He refused to join a campaign that would mislead customers, even when his boss promised to double his salary. He told me, "I can't sleep at night knowing I'm selling a lie." That's the mark of the chosen. They carry an inner compass that never deviates from the direction of truth, no matter how rough the road. It's not that they don't fear loss, they do, but they fear betraying themselves even more. This kind of belief isn't stubbornness. It's a quiet strength, a spiritual light that leads them through the darkest nights. While the world runs toward convenient lies like money buys happiness or success is everything, they stay grounded, seeing through to the heart of things. They understand that truth doesn't bend for anyone. It doesn't shapeshift to fit desires. And because of that, it's worth sacrificing everything for. I once met an elderly woman who lived in a modest little home and refused to sell her land even when a large corporation offered her a small fortune. She told me, "This land is where I grew up. It's the truth of my life. I won't sell it for money." That's not stubbornness. That's the conviction of a soul that knows what truly matters. Living by truth isn't easy. It means facing criticism, isolation, and the pain of being misunderstood. But in return, it offers a peace that nothing else can provide. The peace of knowing you're living in alignment with who you really are and what the divine placed in you from the beginning. The chosen don't just find truth. They become it. In the way they speak, the way they act, and the way they refuse to bow to cheap temptations. You'll see it in everyday moments. A father teaching his child never to lie, even about the smallest thing. Or a friend who won't go along with the crowd just to fit in. If you've ever felt a tug inside, a quiet but firm voice telling you to live authentically no matter the cost, then perhaps you carry this mark too. Truth isn't a luxury, it's the foundation. It's the spiritual wind that keeps you standing when everything else shakes. Stay with me in this video as we explore more signs, and in the comments share with me, when was the last time you chose truth over convenience? Tap like, subscribe, and let's keep walking this path, because the journey is just beginning. 3. Perseverance through trials, strength risen from the ashes. If a transformed heart is the beginning, and unwavering faith in truth is the compass, then perseverance through hardship is the solid ground beneath the feet of the chosen, carrying them through the harshest terrains of life. Don't imagine they live in a world full of light or walk a path paved with ease. No, their lives are often marked by storms, steep mountains, and moments where anyone else might turn back. But what sets them apart isn't a lack of suffering, it's how they face it. They don't collapse, they don't give up, and they keep the flame of faith burning, even when everything around them seems reduced to ashes. Think of the times you've seen someone rise after a devastating fall, losing a job, a loved one, or battling illness. I once met a middle-aged man who lost a leg in an accident, but still went to work every day on worn wooden crutches. He didn't complain, didn't curse life. He simply said, "I'm still alive. That's enough to keep going." That's not blind optimism. That's real perseverance, forged in pain and touched with a spiritual strength he called grace from above. The chosen don't avoid hardship, they walk straight into it, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they believe every difficult step lays the bricks of their true self. This strength doesn't come from physical ability or some innate iron will. It comes from somewhere deeper, a connection to something greater, a belief that every trial has meaning even if they can't see it at the time. They don't look for easy escapes like numbing the pain with alcohol or running from responsibility. They face it, day by day, with a kind of patience others might call madness. I remember a friend who was betrayed in business and lost everything. Still, she chose to start over from scratch. She told me, "If I give up now, I'll never know how far I could have gone." That's the spirit of the chosen, not the absence of fear, but the decision to walk through it, trusting that some invisible hand is holding them up. Perseverance doesn't mean instant success. There are days when they fall, cry, and wonder why life is so cruel to them, but they don't stay there. They get up, wipe their tears, and keep moving, carrying with them the lessons from every scar. This resilience doesn't just change their own lives, it lights the way for others. They become a beacon in the dark, proving that hardship isn't the end, it's the beginning of growth. You'll see them in everyday moments, a mother cooking dinner for her child after an exhausting shift, or a young person refusing to give up despite repeated failures. That is real strength, laced with a spiritual undertone, because they believe the divine never places a burden on someone without also giving them the strength to bear it. If you've ever told yourself "I can't," but kept going anyway, if you've ever walked through darkness and refused to surrender, then maybe you carry this sign too. Perseverance isn't a radiant halo. It's sweat, tears, and a simple faith that tomorrow will be better. 4. A hunger for holiness. Walking upright in a world of chaos. If perseverance is the steady footing of the chosen, then a hunger for holiness is the wind beneath their wings, lifting them above the temptations of the world. This isn't something distant or locked away in dusty pages of sacred texts. It's real, it's present, and it's an inseparable part of their daily lives. These individuals don't chase after comfort or the seductive promises of the world, money, fame, or fleeting pleasures. Instead, they choose a life of purity. Not to be praised, but because deep within they feel this is the only way to keep their soul intact, to live in alignment with the principles placed in them by the divine. Think of someone you know, someone who always chooses to do what's right even when no one's watching. I once knew a young woman working in a company where cutting corners was business as usual. She refused a bribe even though it meant losing a promotion and being isolated by her coworkers. When I asked why, she simply smiled and said, "I don't want to look in the mirror at night and see a stranger." That's the hunger for holiness, not flawless perfection, but sincerity in the smallest of choices. Like not lying for gain or keeping a promise even when it costs you something. They don't live this way out of fear of punishment, but because they believe that living right is the only way to keep their soul clean, like a stream unpolluted by the mud of the world. Holiness doesn't mean separating from life or acting superior. On the contrary, these people are right among us. They work, laugh, love, but carry within themselves a clear inner boundary. They don't let themselves be swept into power games, flattery, or the easy temptations that so often pull others down. I remember an older man who once turned down a shady business deal even though his family desperately needed the money. He told me, "I'd rather sleep poor and in peace than be rich and restless inside." That's the quiet spiritual power grounded in reality, the belief that holiness isn't just an ideal, it's a shield that guards them from the stains life throws their way. This path isn't easy, they're still human, they get angry, they feel temptation, they sometimes stumble across the line. But what sets them apart is this: they come back. They seek to make things right. They refuse to let themselves slide into compromise. Their holiness is inspiring not because it shines with glamour, but because it's honest. Like a mother teaching her child not to steal even a piece of candy, or a friend who refuses to gossip even when hurt. It's a small but steady light guiding them and those around them through the grayness of the world, reminding us all we can live better, even here, even now. 5. A powerful prayer, life, the living pulse of the chosen. If the hunger for holiness is the path that keeps the soul pure, then a powerful prayer life is the heartbeat, the invisible thread that ties the chosen to the divine. This isn't about dry rituals or hollow routines repeated out of habit, no. For them, prayer is breath itself. It's how they speak with God, with the universe, or with the deepest part of their own soul. It's not just words spoken aloud. It's a real living act. A spiritual power source that holds them steady through life's bitter winds and warms them when the world grows cold and harsh. Think of someone you know who always finds a quiet corner to talk to something greater than themselves. I once met an elderly woman who sat on her porch every early morning, eyes closed, whispering words no one else could hear. When I asked what she was doing, she smiled gently and said, "I'm telling God about my yesterday, thanking Him for my breath today, and asking for strength to keep going." That's not ritual, that's real connection. For the chosen, prayer isn't something they do to earn heavenly points. It's how they keep their soul alive. It's like calling a best friend at the end of a long day, not for fancy words, but just to be heard, to be held, to be reminded they're not alone. Prayer, for them, is an inward journey of transformation. I remember a man who told me he started praying after he lost his job, not to demand a new one right away, but simply to ask for peace within. He said, "I don't know what kind of miracle happened, but after a few weeks, I wasn't afraid anymore." That's the real power of prayer. It doesn't always change your situation, but it always changes you. In prayer, they find comfort in exhaustion, clarity in confusion, and courage to face what can't be avoided. It's the anchor that keeps them from drifting in the chaos of life. It's the spiritual light that guides them through the darkest nights. But that doesn't mean their prayers are always smooth or full of emotion. There are days they sit in silence, unsure of what to say, just sitting with their pain. And the miracle is, even in that silence, they still feel God's presence, like a friend who doesn't need words to understand. I once saw a father who had lost his child sitting quietly in a church, saying nothing. Later, he told me, "I felt like I wasn't alone." That's the power of a prayerful life. It doesn't just bring strength. It's proof that something greater walks with them, even when the eyes can't see it. Their prayer life is a living connection with a quiet sanctuary in the storm, a reminder that they're never truly alone, and that presence changes everything. 6. The mark of God, a sacred flame that never dies. If a powerful prayer life is the bridge that connects the chosen ones to the divine, then the mark of God is the sacred flame that burns endlessly within them. It's not something money can buy, it can't be faked with eloquent words or performative actions, and no storm in life can ever extinguish it. This mark isn't a flashy badge or a title to boast about. It's real, profound, and a living testament that they were chosen, not by the world but by something far greater. It guides them in every step, every decision, every breath. Think of someone you've met, someone who, just by being near them, makes you feel something different, something you can't explain. I once knew a humble mechanic who lived in a quiet little neighborhood. He didn't preach or speak in lofty words, but every time he helped someone for free or patiently explained things to a confused customer, I saw something unusual in his eyes, a quiet light. When I asked him where his peace came from, he smiled and said, "I believe someone's guiding me even when I can't see the way." That's the mark of God. Not something you can hold in your hand, but something you feel in the way they live, with truth, with steadiness, and with love, even when life has been anything but kind. This mark isn't something you earn through wealth or status. It doesn't come from self-help seminars or the applause of the crowd. It's etched into them through days of deep pain, through moments they chose to stand instead of collapse, through times they listened to the quiet voice within, rather than the noise of the world. I remember a woman who once told me about the day she lost everything in a flood. Instead of cursing her fate, she started over and began helping others in her village, even when she had almost nothing left. She said, "I felt God put his hand on my shoulder and tell me, don't stop." That's the real mark. Not loud, not flashy, but strong like a river cutting through stone, wearing down fear and doubt with every silent act of faith. Having this mark doesn't mean they never stumble. They're still human. There are times they get lost, times they doubt themselves, but the miracle is, even on their darkest days, that flame never dies. It waits, quietly, and flares up the moment they find their way again. I once witnessed a young man trapped in addiction rise up and rebuild his life. He told me, "I don't know why, but something wouldn't let me give up." That's the spiritual strength woven into the real world. A mark that can't be faked, because it's not something you create. It's something given from above. And when you see it, you know. 7. They don't just speak of faith, they live it. If the mark of God is the sacred flame that burns eternally within the chosen, then how they live their faith each day is the wind that keeps that flame alive, transforming it into a brilliant light that shines through the world. These are not people who sit around and talk endlessly about faith using flowery words or drawn-out sermons. No, they're the ones who put faith into every step they take, every handshake, every small decision in daily life. They don't need to shout what they believe. Their lives speak louder than any words ever could. A living testimony that no one can deny. Think about someone you've met who never preaches, yet something about the way they live makes you stop and wonder, where do they get that strength? I once knew a truck driver. He never bragged about his beliefs, but every time someone broke down on the side of the road, he'd pull over to help, even if it meant being late or losing money. When I asked why, he shrugged and said, "I believe if I help others, God will take care of me." That wasn't empty talk, that was faith lived through sweat and selfless action. The chosen don't treat faith like a fancy outfit to wear on holy days. It's their worn, sturdy shoes that carry them over the rocky paths of life. Living by faith doesn't always mean doing something big or dramatic. More often, it's found in quiet acts with deep meaning. A mother staying up late to mend her child's shirt because she believes love is the purest form of faith. Or a friend refusing to gossip because they know even words are sacred. I remember a young woman who told me she started volunteering at an orphanage, not for recognition, but because she felt God placed it on my heart. Their actions aren't meant to impress. They flow from a deep belief that every single thing they do, no matter how small, is a way of staying connected to the divine, a way of saying yes to the calling within. But make no mistake, living by faith is not always easy. They face temptation. They have days when they're exhausted, when giving up seems easier. I once saw a father, worn out from working long hours to support his family, still take the time every night to read to his kids. When I asked why, he said, "Some nights I want to collapse, but then I remember, faith isn't a feeling, it's a choice." That's spiritual strength woven into daily life. Not always shining like the sun, but steady like a quiet flame that burns through the long night. They inspire not by preaching, but by how they live. A neighbor fixing your pipes in the pouring rain, a co-worker refusing to cheat even when pressure mounts. Their faith doesn't sit on their lips, it shows in their calloused hands, their tired but genuine smiles in hard times. If you've ever felt that inner pull to do the right thing even when no one sees, if you've ever chosen action over words, then perhaps you carry this mark too. Faith isn't theory, it's life. It's the spiritual breath woven into every moment. If living your faith through action is how the chosen turn their inner flame into an outward light, then now is the moment to pause and look within, asking the question that can't be ignored. Have I truly been living by these signs? Transformed heart, unwavering truth, perseverance, hunger for holiness, a life of prayer, the mark of God? Or have I been walking halfway, afraid to fully commit? This isn't a call to self-judgment or shame, no. It's a heartfelt invitation, an opportunity to reflect, to listen to that voice within, and to prepare yourself for a journey of transformation. To step into the destiny the divine has already written for you, with all the quiet majesty of His guidance. Imagine yourself at a crossroads. On one side, the familiar path, full of old habits, fears you've held for too long, and days where you simply exist, not shine. On the other side is a rougher road, asking you to leave the comfort zone, to confront your inner shadows, but also leading you toward the most complete version of yourself. I once met a woman, an ordinary office worker who always felt something was missing in her life. One day, she stopped complaining and started taking action. She volunteered to help the homeless, not because anyone made her, but because she heard a whisper in her heart, "This is your path." From that moment, she found a peace that money or recognition could never give. That was the moment she stepped into her destiny, not by waiting for a miracle, but by choosing to change, one step at a time, letting God guide her. This question won't be easy to answer. The journey of self-reflection never is. It demands honesty. How many days have you lived trying to please others, chasing things the world tells you matter? Have you ever paused, closed your eyes, and asked, "Who am I really? And where am I going?" I once spoke with a man who had spent over 30 years trying to live up to family expectations, working a job he hated, until one night he broke down and prayed, "If there's something more out there, please show me." From that moment, he quit his job, started over, and became a teacher, bringing joy to children every day. "I'm not rich," he told me, "but for the first time, I feel like I'm truly living." That's the power of self-examination. It's not just a question, it's a doorway into your spiritual path, where you begin to find the true meaning of your life. But don't mistake living out the signs of the chosen as a burden or a checklist to impress anyone. It's not a competition to see who's holier or who prays the longest. It's an invitation to live authentically, to become the person God created you to be, full of potential, love, and light you may not have fully discovered yet. Think back to those moments when your heart swelled from doing the right thing, when you helped someone expecting nothing in return, when you pushed through a hardship and were amazed at your own strength. Those moments weren't random, they were signs that you are chosen. And now is the time to embrace that destiny, to stop living small inside the box the world put around you. Change doesn't happen overnight, and God never asks you to become someone else in a day. I once met an old farmer, illiterate his whole life, but every day he lived with gratitude and quiet kindness. He didn't understand lofty concepts, but he told me, "I feel God in every grain of rice I plant." He didn't have to change the world, he just had to keep changing himself little by little, and that was enough for his mark to touch the lives around him. You too don't have to do something grand right now. Just start small, a long overdue apology, a habit you're ready to let go of, a quick prayer in the middle of a hectic day. Every small step is a brick on the road toward your destiny, one that's already waiting for you. Being willing to change doesn't mean you have to give up everything or become perfect. It simply means opening your heart, opening yourself to God's guidance, to the whisper that comes from deep within, and to the possibility that you can live differently, live with more meaning. I once witnessed a single mother, after years of wrestling with the pain of betrayal, make the decision to forgive her ex-husband, not because he deserved it, but because she wanted her own heart to be free. She told me, "I prayed and I felt God telling me to let go, so I could move forward." From that moment on, she raised her child with a love and strength she never knew she had. That is destiny, not something far away or out of reach, but the life you choose to live each day, under the gentle yet powerful guidance of something greater than yourself. This journey is yours alone, but you don't walk it alone. Every time you question, every time you shift, every time you act instead of just speak, you step closer to becoming who you were born to be. I believe there's a flame within you, a mark, a calling, and now is the time to listen to it. If you've ever felt a pull to live more honestly, to step out from your own shadow, then this message is for you. Don't be afraid. Your destiny is not a burden, it's a gift. It's a path of light that God has already drawn, waiting for you to walk it. Stay with me in this video, and in the comments share this. What is your heart calling you to change today? Tap like, subscribe, and continue this journey with me, because this path isn't just theirs. It's yours, it's ours, and it's only just beginning.